Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Ray Stories. I saw her before she saw me. She was sitting on a bench near the old fountain, shoulders slightly curved forward as if protecting something invisible. The park was full of ordinary life. Joggers, a man arguing gently with a toddler, someone feeding birds despite the sign that asked them not to. Nothing dramatic, nothing that would prepare a parent for the sight of their grown daughter beside two small suitcases. A little girl sat next to her, legs swinging, humming softly to herself. My granddaughter was tracing shapes on the bench with one finger, blissfully unaware of whatever gravity held her mother so still. I slowed my steps. There are moments when you recognize trouble not by what is happening, but by what is missing. My daughter had never been someone who folded inward. Even as a child, she met the world head-on, sometimes recklessly, sometimes stubbornly, but never like this. When I reached them, she looked up quickly. That small startle in her eyes told me she had been somewhere else entirely. "Why aren't you at work?" I asked. It was the kind of question that normally carried mild teasing. Today, it sounded foreign. She hesitated. Not the hesitation of someone searching for words, the hesitation of someone deciding how much humiliation could be spoken aloud. I got fired. The sentence was delivered quietly, almost politely, as if she were apologizing for the inconvenience of it. My granddaughter continued humming. I waited. My father-in-law said my bloodline wasn't worthy. She didn't look at me when she said it. She stared ahead toward the fountain that hadn't worked in years. The words felt rehearsed, like something she had already repeated to herself enough times for them to lose their sharpest edges. But humiliation doesn't dull, it just settles deeper. I studied her face, not for anger, not for tears, for damage. There was none of the rage I might have expected, only exhaustion, the specific kind that comes from being evaluated not for competence, but for belonging. "How long ago?" I asked. "This morning." "And the suitcases?" She gave the faintest shrug. "We were visiting." The simplicity of the answer carried its own indictment. Visiting, as if she had been a guest in a place where she had worked, performed, and contributed. I nodded once. "Get in the car." She blanked, surprised by the lack of commentary. "Dad." "Get in the car." No reassurance, no outrage, just direction. On the drive, she remained silent. So did I. The city passed in familiar patterns, traffic lights, storefronts, pedestrians absorbed in private urgencies. Beside me, my daughter stared through the windshield, still processing the shape of a day that had tilted without warning. I remembered other days, her first presentation at 22 when a senior manager had mistaken her for an assistant, the board meeting where her suggestions were repeated by a man and suddenly deemed insightful, the countless small recalibrations required of women who learn early that competence alone does not guarantee respect. She had navigated all of it with composure, but bloodline? That was different. We pulled into the underground garage without discussion. She frowned slightly as recognition dawned. "Why are we here?" I parked. "Come." The building lobby greeted us with its usual indifference. Polished floors, muted lighting, the quiet choreography of corporate routine. No drama, no theatrics. She followed, confused but obedient. When we entered the executive floor, heads turned briefly, not because of me, but because she did not belong there, at least not according to the assumptions that govern such spaces. We walked past glass offices and controlled conversations until we reached the conference room. Inside, the weekly operations meeting was already underway. Her father-in-law sat near the center of the table. He was speaking when we entered. He stopped. The room shifted into that peculiar silence reserved for unexpected hierarchy. My daughter looked between us, comprehension arriving slowly, unevenly. I took my usual seat at the head of the table. No announcement was needed. Titles, unlike egos, do not require reinforcement. Her father-in-law's expression moved through several stages: irritation, confusion, then something closer to disbelief. I opened the folder before me. "We'll pause for a moment," I said evenly. My daughter remained standing. No one invited her to sit. I gestured lightly to the empty chair beside mine. "Please." She sat, still stunned. I turned a page. Before we continue, there's a personnel matter requiring clarification. Across the table, a man shifted uncomfortably. Her father-in-law's jaw tightened. The termination issued this morning appears inconsistent with company policy. The stated rationale does not meet any recognized performance criteria. The room was motionless. Authority, when exercised quietly, has a way of sharpening attention. I closed the folder. Effective immediately, the decision is reversed. My daughter inhaled softly. Her father-in-law stared at me, the reality of structural consequence settling in with visible discomfort. This organization evaluates employees on competence, nothing else. I added, finally meeting his gaze. Now, where were we? The meeting resumed. Voices returned, cautiously recalibrated. Beside me, my daughter sat very still, not triumphant, not relieved, only slowly remembering the posture she had lost that morning